Welcome to the channel where we elevate to the next level in this barber industry. Today we're doing a mid-fade, beard lineup, adding some texture on top. My name is Mike Angelo Fades. I am here to break it down step by step. So with that being said, let's jump right into this tutorial. The first thing that I'm doing, I'm adding texture to the top. So the best way to find where to start to add texture, you put the comb on top. Wherever it's flat, that is where you start. We are using the slide cutting technique. We're going from side to side. We're not taking any length from the top, but we are cutting in between. This is going to create movement. That way my client, he can style it. He has a little bit to play with when we do some slide cutting on top. So slide cutting, what it does, it creates movement. Now we're going to be adding some texture to the top. So the best technique to do that is to do some point cutting. So now we're gonna be debulking. I got the number 2 guard with the lever closed, and I am going right underneath that parietal ridge that I'm showing you right here. I want to keep that parietal ridge. I'm scooping away from there because towards the end we're gonna clip over comb. So right now I'm debulking. That way it's easier for me to set guidelines and it's easier to read them and stay organized. Using your trimmers, we are gonna set the first bald guideline. I'm going right in a corner from this box right here because we are doing a mid fade. Whenever you're using this step, you want to make sure that you are tapping slightly. Don't create too much pressure because it could create a really harsh line that is really tough to erase. So start from the temple, create that line back to its occipital bone, and then eliminate the rest of the hair that's underneath. Now we are jumping over to our electric shavers. I am using the Babyliss electric shaver. I start right from this beard, working my way up until I get to that bald guideline. About a 1/4 inch down below that line, I start to flick out. You don't want to create a harsh line with the shaver because that is a tough line to erase. So to avoid all that, make sure you're flicking out once you get a 1/4 inch from that initial guideline. This is our first step towards the fade. I am using the clipper with the lever open with no guard. I am setting a guideline going up about 1 inch, and I am using the Babyliss Low Pros. I did switch the blade on these. I am using a fade blade, and you want to make sure that this line stays consistent. Make it as neat as possible and it will make your fade come out a lot better. Now to erase that guideline, you have to close the lever completely and then attack that bottom line. I feel like this is the hardest line to erase, so I like to attack it first, and all I'm doing is literally pushing that guideline upward. I am using the Low Pros FX from Babyliss, and I did switch it to a fade blade. I like this clipper because every time you open the lever, it clicks, they have little notches, and you can stay organized throughout the whole haircut. So what we do on this side, you do on the other side as well. Now we have the number 1 guard with the lever closed, and we are setting our second guideline towards the fade, and we are going up about 1 inch. Like I said before, whatever you do on this side, you are doing the same steps on the other side. Now to erase this guideline, we're gonna be using the half guard. We're gonna start off with the lever open, and we're gonna be flicking out right in between those guidelines that you set. We are working in sections, so right from this temple to behind his ear, that is where I'm focusing to erase this line. Then after that, we're gonna be doing another section from his ear back to his occipital bone and open and close the lever until that guideline is erased. The reason why I like to do this step is because it will keep me in tunnel vision. I can stay organized, I can see where I'm at. So that's why I break it down in sections from his temple to his ear, and then once I'm done erasing that line, I work from this ear back to his occipital bone. Before we continue to our next step, we are going to detail with the clipper with no guard. This is where I look in the mirror, look back to see if there's any lines or dark spots, and if there is, I have to detail that out. Erase the lines completely before you continue to your next step. Continuing to our next step, we have the 1.5 guard. We are working with the lever open, and we are flicking right underneath that parietal ridge. Remember, when we debulk, we use the number 2 guard with the lever closed. So if we have the 1.5 guard with the lever open, that creates a number 2 guard almost. So we're flicking right underneath that number 2, right underneath the parietal ridge, and then we close it to get ready for our next step. Our next step is using the number 1 guard, and then we're flicking in between that line. We are softening that line, that guideline that we created, and we are putting this fade together. As you can see, it's coming along. We're gonna have to add detail to it to really make this fade pop out. But use that number 1 guard with the lever open, close it, play with it. I like to call this step trigger play. Just play with the lever, opening, closing it until that guideline is out. We are getting ready to complete the fade, but before I do, I always like to double check. So I look back in the mirror. If I see dark spots, I jump back down the guard and able to erase those lines or dark spots that I see in the mirror. So I did look back, see some dark spots, so I jump back down to the half guard, and then we have the lever open, slowly closing it. And a good tip for you guys, when you are detailing or trying to erase dark spots and lines, use the corner of the blade. Start out with the lever open, slowly closing it until that completely erases the line. Now we're going to be using some clipper over comb to connect the fade to the longer hair on top. The best way to do this is to go inward and go outward. When you go outward, the hair that is sticking out, that is what you cut. I got the lever closed, and then I make sure that I am steady with the hand. That way my clipper doesn't go in and accidentally cut more than what I'm supposed to. So our fading system is completely done. You can actually call it right here and say, okay, I'm done with the fade, move on with the lineup. But we want to have a $25 haircut turn into a $45 haircut. How do you do that? You have to detail. So that is what I'm doing right here. As you can see, I'm also using the shears to detail, getting into the smallest detail. And the more detail you put into a haircut, the better it's going to be. The more your clients are going to realize, and the more clients you will get by word of mouth. Start creating the demand. Once you create the demand, then you go up on price. So it all starts with this, is detailing the haircut. You want to make sure that your haircut stand out from the rest, and make sure that the clients are coming back. So this is what we're doing right here, is applying detail to master the complete fade. Running a number 3 guard with the lever closed around his beard, getting every angle, that way we get every hair that is sticking out. I'm using the number 1 guard with the lever open to get around his mustache. Now when you do the fade, you want to make sure you start off on the sideburns, and I have the lever open. I create that line. As you can see, I didn't go fully up, and I'm slowly closing it as I work my way upward. Now we're working with the 1 guard with the lever open to complete this blend on the beard. So what I do, I use the corner of the blade only, and I slowly close it until it completely gets out. You don't want to use the full blade because it could create a harsh line, especially on the beard. It's really tough to erase, so use the corners only. Once you're done with the 1 guard, jump over, take it off, and use the clipper with no guard. Use the corners only, slowly close the lever until that line is completely out. Double check your work in the mirror and make sure it comes out real blurry. When I do the beard lineup, I always like to start on the back first. I like to create this foundation for the beard, make sure that it's eye-catching. So having a really strong foundation or a really strong line on the beard, which will be the back, to me is eye-catching, and then I follow it towards the jawline. I make sure that the jawline is looking natural, and when I'm using these steps, I make sure that I am tapping and not creating a lot of pressure, because clients around the facial area could be a little sensitive. They could get a cut or create redness, so just tap and play. Now we're gonna finish up the top of the beard. So what I like to do is follow that guideline from the jawline, make it parallel. This will make the beard look so much better. My client here, he wants to let his beard grow, he wants to go a little bit higher. So what I am doing, I am just feathering. I want to make sure that the line is curved, and we're gonna follow the mustache as well. Trim the mustache, line it up, and in this step it doesn't have to be as sharp as possible because we are gonna follow it up with the straight razor. So whenever I do the hairline, I use a hair grip that is called Motive, and I like it because once you pull it up, it's going to leave the small hairs on the bottom, like the baby hairs that always like to stick out. I like to comb those down and line them up. This will create a really sharp line. If your client doesn't have a really solid hairline, combing these little baby hairs down, it will create a nice line. So get the hair grip. If you don't have hair grips, use hair clips, and comb the little baby hairs down. Don't eliminate them, use them to create that nice lineup. Then once you're done with that, with creating that lineup with the trimmers, like I said, it don't have to be as sharp as possible because we always have to follow it with the straight razor. Now we're going to be adding some hair product on top to finish off this haircut. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments and I will answer those questions for you. I really hope you learned something from this video. If you follow this step-by-step guide, these will be your results. My name is Mike Angelo. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. I will see you guys on the next video, and it's time to get to the next level. Let's get it.